Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Munir Al-Azouzi from easymedicaldevice.com. And today we will go to the USA. A few months ago, we have done the same with another episode. Today we go to the USA to see Michelle Lott, founder of the LeanRAQA.com. So it's a consulting firm in the US. And Michelle will help us to understand how to register our products in the US and to answer some of the questions that maybe you are asking yourself if you are in Europe and if you want to go to the US market. So Michelle, welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast.
Hi, Munir. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm also excited. I have said we were connected on LinkedIn, so I see a lot of your activities there, also related to MDR. So you are not specialized only on FDA, but also the EU market. So You are helping your customers on that. I saw all your activities, and you are really doing a great job. I saw some posts that you are doing some countdown of when the MDR will be arriving. So it's really great.
Hashtag MDR is coming.
Exactly. Hashtag MDR is coming. So if you want to look at that. Okay. So Michelle, just for the audience, can you just start to introduce yourself and also introduce your business, and then we can go to the questions about how to register the products to the US.
Sure. My name is Michelle Lott. I own LeanRAQA. I started the business and named it Lean because I'm particularly passionate about helping startups and small businesses find sustainable quality and regulatory solutions. A lot of consultants treat regulatory and quality like it's a one-stop shop, and they have this quality system and they give the same thing to every customer over and over. And I just, across my career, just saw that being so big and bulky that the clients didn't have the resources to manage it, and it created compliance issues. So my niche client is small startups, mid-sized companies that need customized, sustainable solutions.
So great. So then you can really help us to understand how to register our products in the US. Mainly, we'll focus on manufacturers that are in Europe and that want to export their products to US. So my first question to you is mainly how they should start to register their products to US. What exactly they should consider first?
Yep. So, everybody knows that the classification in the U.S. is risk-based, class 1, 2, and 3. Class 1 devices, typically are a little bit lower barrier to entry. And then class 2 devices are kind of mid-risk profiles. And then class 3, typically life-sustaining, life-supporting implantables. But one of the big differences in the pathway between the U.S. and the EU is that the U.S. has it's a 3-letter product code that they call it. And that product code defines the definition of the device. The regulation associated with that product code has an intended use associated with it. So that 3-letter product code is probably the single most important piece of information that a company needs to know about.
So mainly, where then those manufacturers can find those product codes? So do we have a product code for every product, or maybe there is some products that still don't have one?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a trick question too. So you start with the product code database on the FDA website, and you come up with the most generic way that you could define your device, like the face mask or just mask, and then you put in and you see all the options that come up, and you start going through them and eliminating, okay, that one's oxygen mask, not a face mask, it's not mine. And then you come up with a handful of product codes that could fit your product. Okay. Then you have to look up your intended use. And then from the ones that sound like they could fit your product, what does the regulations intended use support? And so to your point, the ones that don't have a product code yet are likely going to be going through what is called a deNovo, which is a request for it basically ends up in a classification with a new 3-letter product code.
Okay, so yeah, you just introduced a new word, which is deNovo.
Yeah,
So
which is funny that you said new word because it means of new.
yeah, I think what we know mainly from the FDA when we want to register our products is some 510K. I think is the most used way to register our products. I know that there is the deNovo, which is starting to become famous. There is also some another one, I think is PMA. So there are a lot of pathway, if I can say, to register our products in the US. How our customers or how the manufacturers should choose between those ones?
Yeah. Well, even that often comes back to that 3-letter product code. So it's really important to get that right from the start. Because if a product code already exists, it tells you what class your product is, 1, 2, or 3. And then it also tells you what submission path is associated with that product code. If it's a 510K, if it's a PMA. Where it gets a little tricky for if a deNovo is appropriate is say you find a product code that may be close but not quite. And all the products that have been cleared under that have got, while they may be similar in some areas, maybe your product has new technology, new intended use or a new indication for use that goes beyond what that product code or those other products have. And in those cases, that's where you would need to pursue the deNovo.
So it looks like if we are trying to go to the US, you have, as you mentioned, first to go to a certain database to see all the product codes and everything. So, but you have to compare yourself to already existing products, I suppose. I know that the 510K is mainly looking for predicates or an equivalent product. So how is it working then on those different things? So are you first looking for an equivalent products on the market, and if you don't find, where are you going there?
Yeah. So the FDA is largely based on a concept called substantial equivalence. Now, this is different from where like the clinical evaluations in Europe are moving, where it's, there's no substantial. It is identical or it's not,
exactly.
Period. So substantial equivalence means that a certain amount of differences are allowed as long as they don't raise new questions of safety and efficacy. So if there is a case you can make within a 510K that yes, these things are different, but don't raise additional risks, then 510K still may be viable for you. But if there's enough differences that it raises new questions of safety and efficacy or intended use, indication for use, the FDA is going to want to see more of a deNovo path.
Okay. And what about the PMA? What is this thing?
What is this thing? That's the beast of all submissions.
Exactly. Nobody wants to go this path.
Yeah. And so, 510Ks can be between, 1,000, 1,500 pages, and that's a lightweight compared to the PMA. The PMA can be, like I saw one that was 33 ring binders that were about, 3 inches thick a piece. So, and it was back in the day when before FDA accepted e-copy. So, just to ship it to the FDA was like thousands of dollars,
So mainly PMA is mainly like the product is life-threatening, so we have to make as many tests as possible, so a lot of clinical investigation to really prove to the FDA that our product is correct. So this is the extreme. Let's go to the other extreme. So in Europe, we have the class 1 products, which are not risky at all. And even they are self-certified. So it means that we don't need a notified body. We just go through the path of creating the dossier, and then we register the products in the country, but without going through a notified body. Is there the same situation in the US or not?
So in the US, every device, regardless of its classification, if it's class 1, obviously it's 510K exempt, most of them are, but then there's also a subset that are also GMP exempt, which means they're exempt from the bulk of the quality system regulations.
So
that's something that doesn't exist in Europe.
No need of, it means that there is no need of a quality management system. Is it correct?
Correct, except for complaints and records.
Okay.
So you still have to have those two elements, but you don't have to have supplier controls, production controls, if it's GMP exempt.
Okay.
But even with that, that's not something that exists in Europe.
Yeah.
And even for devices that you self-certify, you're expected to have design controls, which in the US, class 1 devices, or the bulk of them are exempt from design controls, except for a handful.
So I suppose mainly it's because the risk is really, really low. So there is no, and we know maybe the products very well. So there is no need to really take care of this, or there is no real issue on the market about that.
Right. Yeah, they're almost borderline enforcement discretion.
Okay, so mainly, so it's a good point because I wanted also to talk to you about the GMP or your quality management system in the US. So mainly we have the product now, we know the classification, we know then the path we have to go to register the products to the US. What about the quality management system? In Europe, we are mainly using ISO 13485. What are you using in the US?
So in the US, 21 CFR 820 is still the law. It's still regulation. And I know that the FDA has been talking about adopting ISO 1345. Well, that's tricky. The law, the 21 CFR is law.
Exactly.
ISO is a voluntary standard. And it changes every 3 years.
Exactly.
It's a literal act of Congress to get a change in the regulation passed.
So mainly we have, I think the Canada also started to do the same by removing some of their regulation to put them in a kind of a common pot with the MDSAP. So US now thinks about that, but what will be the advantage for US to maybe move to ISO? Is there something that it will be helping them, or it's better, or it's because it takes too much time to maintain a quality management system low?
You know, I really think that the difference in the US is going to be in the inspection technique.
Okay.
Because right now, the US, the inspectors use what's called QSIT, the Quality System Inspection Technique. Yep. All of the auditors have been, or not inspectors, have been trained to this particular methodology, and it's very different in the thought process to the ISO-based audits, which are a little bit more checklist and element by element driven. So while ISO audit they do look for that system interaction, they have to make sure they cover every item on their checklist. And the FDA is not checklist driven. They are system driven. And if they find a problem in one system, they follow it all the way through your quality management system.
No, it's really true. So I had the chance to, or the non-chance to be audited by notified bodies and by FDA. And you're right, the technique is really different. I think one is as soon as you are guilty until I find that you are not. When the other is more that until I don't find anything, you are fine. So there is no issue. So it's really a different mentality, but really. People that have to receive an FDA auditor have also to understand that it's not really the same way that they are expecting from a notified body. So it's not really
right.
You know that there was a lot of information that you can not show to them, like management review information, or there was a lot of things that we should not show to them, but show that the process or the system, as you mentioned, is working, but no need to show all the details of what is inside. So it's also something that is important.
So that's something that a lot of people don't realize about MediSAP, is that the FDA does not accept the MediSAP certificate. They take the report, they read it and audit the report for themselves and make sure they agree.
Okay.
Well, you know what's in the report? Internal audits, management review, supplier audits, all the stuff that the FDA inspectors can't look at.
Exactly. So it's exactly that we had to hide or not to show to them. Yeah, it's correct.
It's open kimono, you know?
So just one thing also, because I had also this experience with the FDA as an auditor. So in the US, they can come to audit you without any further notice, or maybe 1 or 2 days of notice. But in Europe, they have to inform you, I think, 3 months in advance.
Well, Europe has started, especially as a result of MDR, but even in advance of MDR, required unannounced, at least supplier audits.
Okay.
And so I've had several clients that have had notified bodies show up on their door. And like in every notified body that I've signed a contract with over the last year has got one of the first questions they ask is, give us your holiday schedule.
Okay.
So we know when not to come, and if we come and you're closed, we're still billing you, and we're coming back.
Yeah, true. No, it's exactly that. I think I had an episode with Unannounced Audit with Florent Guyon, so I will just put the link for that. And yeah, it was clearly that you have to mention your holidays, you have to tell when you are here or not, that the auditors are not surprised coming and knocking at the door and nobody's there, because yeah, it's important also for them. But yeah, it's great. So thank you, Michelle, for all those information. I think it's really interesting for all those manufacturers that are trying to conquer the US market, and I hope they will they will make it. But mainly, what can you do, or what are you doing actually to help those manufacturers to enter the US market?
Well, it's a lot of education for my customers, and some of them are learning by trial and error. By getting in trouble with the FDA and then saying, oh, hey, Michelle, when you said that we should do so-and-so, now would be a good time to do that because the FDA just called. So trying to cut that learning curve for the clients. I have a lot of videos about this process on my website that any of your fans can look up to try to get better informed. And then I mentioned it at the start of our talk, is that I customize the solutions, but I can also customize a staffing plan for you. So if you're not in a position to have a regulatory quality person on staff, we can build a system for you and then run it for you as well. So that's another way that I can be helpful, is keeping that overhead low and keeping you compliant at the same time.
No, it's great. And mainly you are, as I've said, supporting customers in the US and also customers out of US. So is it only Europe, or you have also some kind of customers in Asia Pacific or some other countries?
Yep, I have customers all over the world. Okay. So I am diverse. I take customers from everywhere. Okay,
great. So I saw some dogs running out. So I know that on LinkedIn you are also featuring them because they are kind of your associates there. So what are their mission there?
Right on cue. This one came up and asked to be held, and her name is Lucy. And unless I paint it pink, she has a natural blonde mohawk.
Okay.
She has a splash of Chinese crested in her.
Oh, great. Nice. Really nice.
So there's Lucy.
Okay.
She's the Chief Therapy Officer, or the CTO.
Okay.
She's responsible for Snuggles. And the boy dogs, so I call the boy dogs the Chief Fun Officers.
Okay, great.
And so, and they're also, I made a joke that I'm gonna sell the business and go champion pug dive coach.
Okay.
Because the pug is the swimmer and he loves doing belly flops in the pool.
No, it's great. As I've said, I'm really enjoying seeing all your content on LinkedIn. So I really encourage all the people to go to follow you. Can you mention again your hashtag that you are using always?
Hashtag MDR is coming.
MDR is coming.
Sometimes we put it up with a picture of the puppies, like, oh, it's okay. It's going to be stressful, but we have puppies.
Exactly.
We're lower your blood pressure and get you through this.
Yeah, I'm also putting now kind of a post on LinkedIn where I say keep calm and accept MDR. So because a lot of people are starting to think about it, say, don't think too much, just accept it and move forward. So
maybe we should use each other's hashtags, like they always go together.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's great. So Michelle, something else for the audience?
Let me know how I can help.
Yeah, so I think for that, please let me know where they can find you. So I suppose LinkedIn, as we said. I will put also the link, I think, of your website, so LeanRAQA.com. LeanRAQA.com, sorry, LeanRAQA.com. So then people can contact you directly, and I hope they can ask you difficult questions so that you can answer them and customize, as you mentioned, your services to them. So great.
Okay, send me the questions, and me and Munir can have another podcast.
Exactly. This is what I'm asking. If you have some question, please let us know so that I can also bring back Michelle so that she can try to answer to us. And maybe if you are going to the US and you have a difficult question or a difficult situation, let me know, and I will invite again Michelle for another episode. Okay, so Michelle, really thank you for your help and thank you for all the information you provided. I think it was really valuable for the audience, and I wish you a nice day.
Yeah, thank you, Munir.
Bye-bye.